Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Lightbox. My name is Aleksei, and I'm a game artist in Supercell. I promise you a fun journey through this presentation. I've started my career at Zeptolab in 2010. There I was working on Cut the Rope series, a small puzzle game Padding Monsters, PvP platformer King of Thieves, and idle PvP game called CATS. It's an acronym for Crash Arena Turbo Stars. Check it out. There was some few killed projects as well, but they don't worth to mention. About 3 years ago, I've joined Supercell and had amazing opportunity to work with Clash of Clans and Clash Royale, which is my favorite game of all times. I hope you're familiar at least with one of those, because it will help to understand this material better. I'm gonna share some of my learnings, and it will be made of two parts. First one will be theoretical, where I will describe some tools and metaphors about the visual language. And in the second one, I'll show how I'm using these tools in my daily work. Let's go. Let's take a look at this picture. Let's try to describe it, like what we actually see here. Human figures with bows and arrows chasing bulls. That's definitely a hunt happening over there. What we just see is an ancient illustration. And it's illustration just because you can easily translate it into a narrative and create the text around the visual image. And this is the main function of any illustration, to deliver a story or support some text or article. These are typical modern journal illustrations, and just by watching at these images, we can easily guess what the whole article was all about, right? Without any context, just by watching at the picture. And let's describe what we see. On the left one, we see man feeding ego with Facebook appreciations, right? And on the right one, we see some kind of employees, which are the matches in the same time. So we can guess that probably it's something about burning out in the office. Nowadays, most of the illustrators using more sophisticated and indirect way to deliver the information, and it's called visual metaphor, because this is the metaphor. It's not exactly what text was talking about. So term visual metaphor gives us a nice hint that actually visuals might use the same tools as any language on the planet. And let's see which kind of tools. Let's start with rhythm. Songs, poetry, hip-hop is the most beautiful and entertaining way to deliver the message. Both of them are using rhythm as a main tool. We can see visual rhythms everywhere around us. Let's take a look at some photos that I collect for you. So, for example, these beautiful and juicy leaves, ice crystals, sand dunes, oh, this fantastic sunset and clouds, magnificent ocean, mountains, stars, and this magnificent forest as well. Beautiful, isn't it? Now let's analyze what makes these photos so pretty and so attractive to human eye. Lines that I draw on the bottom under the photos works like rails for eye, and eye just switching unconsciously from one line to another line, jumping and jumping and jumping really fast. We even can't comprehend this if we are not paying attention. And that's why it's called rhythm. Cool, right? Do you see the music now? Like for example, these triangles doing na 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 na, or tree trunks, tan 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 tan. That's some music. And here is another tool of, I know, poetry or any like musical art piece that involves text, the rhyme. Now I will explain how rhyme works in a visual language. So let's take one puppy. It's pretty and cute, so adorable. But two puppies is much better, because two puppies creates a rhyme. Because now we have two pair of eyes, pair of noises, tongues, general shape of the doggy. And this is a rhyme, because we have two similar objects and they create a rhythm. Right now, if you will start to analyze how you're watching at the picture, you can actually track how your eyes moving around, starting with eyes, noses, and then tongues, general silhouette. And now, wow, we have so many puppies here. Now rhythms are everywhere and you can feel how eyes are traveling from one puppy face to another and making the circles, one after another. Eyes tracking head shapes, eyes, noses. But the problem with this image that there are so many rhymes and so many rhythms that image just become noisy. It's really even hard to count how many puppies are there. Can you? To solve this problem, we have a really nice tool, which is contrasts. On this picture, you can see that doggies now are more organized and much more countable and readable. And that's all because of the contrasts of sizes, spaces in between the doggies, and colors. I made a really great job here, right? So, as you already know, shape is actually a model for rhythm, but it also can serve as a good tool for storytelling. I love Disney and Pixar designs a lot, so here is a great example. Mickey. He is made of friendly and positive rounded shapes, which create nice rhymes there. It's also using contrast of tones, sizes, and in-between spaces, which make them so interesting to watch at. Another example is from one of my favorite cartoons, Inside Out, where characters made of simple shapes, and these shapes describes their personality right away. You just need a couple of seconds to understand what this guy is all about. Look at the anger, for example, in the middle. He's so squarish, right? Now jump to the next thing. Slogans, name of songs, titles of the books, and names of the, I don't know, paintings is usually the most memorable part of any art piece. And this rule works for character design as well. For example, these two barbarians. One on the left has less details than another. And I believe that the left one will be much more memorable and recognizable. And I can back up this with my theory, just because there is much less information for brain to analyze and store after. So on the left barbarian, we have sword, mustache, belt, skirt, slippers, wristbands. It's kind of easy to comprehend. And let's check out the second one. We have sword, horn helmet, mustache and beard, wristbands, shield, belt, pants, drinking bottle, slippers. So it's already boring even I'm just going through this. And phrase on this slide is just amazing, and I think it's a key for any game artist, because game art are pretty useless without a game. And game artists exist Just to describe the game mechanics to player in the first place. Here we have two characters from Clash of Clans. They both archers. They have same ranged attack, radius, amount of health, but they have different functions. For example, archer on the right, he has invisibility. So before he attacks, he going like completely invisible for the opponent. And that's why they are visually different. There is a sneaky cape on it, right? And here we have a musketeer, which is a little bit tougher unit that have more hit points, stronger attack, longer range, and he deals more damage. That's why she looks so tough with this gun and some armor. Giant is a special unit that ignores pesky small enemies and attacks only buildings. So one on the left attacks with his bare fists, and another one doing his attacks on a distance. You also can tell it from the first glance. There is a lot of very tricky mechanics and tricky cards in Clash games, but let's not dwell on it and move on. Quick summary of what I was just talking about. Shapes tells a story. Rhyme and rhythm make story exciting. Contrasts make it readable. Simplicity makes it memorable. And of course, gameplay is a master of them all. And that's why it should be first in this list. So let me explain you the context better. Here are two screenshots of Clash Royale. In this game, players can deploy troops on a battlefield by just dragging and dropping them from the bottom screen. Units are fighting by themselves and trying to destroy opponents' towers. Each unit costs some elixir that regenerates over time. You can see the pinky bar on the bottom of the screen. Player that destroys most of the towers of opponent by the end of the timer wins. That simple. So when I started to work on Clash Royale team, there was already around 90 units. So it was really hard to come up with the new ideas that will be fresh and interesting for the game. I had to work on the edge between game design and concept art, proposing game ideas and visuals at the same time. And I think this is most interesting work I ever done. And let's see some examples of the characters I've made. First one was Fisherman. It's a kind of medium tank, so he have like medium health points, but pretty tough. He have very weak melee attack, and his ability is to hook units on a distance and drag to himself, and then hit. So I always start with the game mechanic, and then making a sketch. I think the metaphor of the fisherman was really a nice fit for this game mechanic, because fisherman, he actually dragging stuff to himself from the water. And instead of fishing pole, I was using anchor, which is so much funnier, you know, that he throws the anchor and dragging a unit to himself. Anchor shape itself, it was really nice rhyme and storytelling already, so I used it also in his head. And then I add some square shapes to show his toughness, that he's actually a medium tank. And as you can see, his weapon is a fish, so he's slapping opponents with a fish, which is a weak melee attack. And for example, if I would like to make him look more harmless, or for example, cute and approachable, I would use more rounded shape, like you can see on the bottom picture. I used this kind of half shape rhythm that goes vertically. And this is the final design in 3D, and tada, beautiful posing. Welcome, Fisherman. Next unit is Electro Giant. It's very tricky mechanic. Like other giants, he ignores everyone who attacks him, but goes towards the building. He has melee attacks, but the interesting thing about him is that any opponent trying to hit him or shoot him get electric shock, and that damages them. So he by himself not attacking other units, but kinda reflecting a damage. And here is, you can see the sketch I've made and 3D model. And now you can see that I was using this light bolt saw shape for rhyme and story for this guy. He already looks like he's having electric shock all the time. All his hairs, gloves and shorts are broken. I also add some supporting rhymes, circular rhymes, to make him more interesting. And even more, because I could afford have some more rhythms, because this troop is so big. And yeah, he's a giant at the end of the day. This is the final art. I really like how it turned out. And let's go to the next one. Mother Witch. This unit is from Witch's family. And witches in Clash are young and pretty ladies, and they have more health than these units. And also she has a medium range attacks, and her tricky thing that she can transform any killed unit into a hog that fights on her side. So basically she's doing some kind of the curse before finish of the unit that transforms after death. And this is the sketch. You can see Mother Witch transform Prince into the cute piggy to show that she is more fragile than other witches. I made her look like old giggling hags, so she's a smaller. And I give her a pot with spell as a weapon, so to explain her medium range attacks and cursing mechanic. I also used a lot of triangle rhythms because all previous witches in the game has it, and it's also give you some kind of magic feeling, you know. So I decided to go with those. Add some square shapes because all the witches in Clash games have this kind of squarish hood. And one rhyme for pot, which is a spoon to cook the potion. And done! Boom! Beautiful, beautiful old lady. I hope you like it. Next one is a battle healer. It's another tricky mechanic, because there is a healer in the game, in Clash of Clans, which is just angel-looking girl that flying, she's not even walking. She doesn't attack anyone, but healing all the friendly units around. So then we decided to put this type of unit in Clash Royale. We needed this unit to attack someone. And that's how we got to the battle healer. She has a medium health points, melee attack, and her attacks, like in the moment she actually dealing a damage, she heal her allies. So this is the look. She is more or less the same size as an archer, and there is not much space to play with rhythms. So I used only color contrasts of armor and chainmail to make her look more interesting. And of course she is still an angel, so she's not there to hurt people. This is the final design. Looks adorable. And now we can go to Firecracker. It's one of my favorite cards, along with Mother Witch, of course. And Firecracker, she's almost like an archer. She has the same amount of health, more or less, speed and stuff, but her long range attack is very specific. When projectile reaches the enemy, it splits on small shreds that damages troops behind. I was looking for a metaphor how to explain this, and then I realized that firework rocket and a makeshift bazooka will be a best metaphor I could think of, because everybody familiar with how firework works. First, it's a rocket that's doing amazing like splash. And yeah, here's the first sketches I made. And the final concept. And this is the marketing render you can see. Now I have a last card for you, but it's most interesting, I guess. And it's called Elixir Golem. It's the most complicated mechanic I was dealing with in my life, I think. You have the same mechanic as a giant, and other golems in the game also following the same function. They go in towards the buildings, ignoring all the troops. But the thing with the Elixir Golem is that every time he dies, he splits onto smaller golemites, and then golemites get killed. They also split on the elixir blobs. And then the blob dies, it gives one additional elixir to your opponent. And that mechanic made him the cheapest super tank in the game, with high risk and high reward gameplay. And it was pretty hard to explain, but if he splits so many times and give elixir to the opponent at the end, obviously he should be made of liquid, which is elixir. And this is the final render here. Alright, and before I finish this talk, there is one more thing to mention. Most of the time players see the characters during the gameplay, and that's why it's really cool to start your work with a sketch from the game camera perspective, just to make sure that this thing will work, and all the time that you will invest in the future will go somewhere. So, Goblin King from Clash Quest. Quick sketch, and it's already proven to me, to the team, and we can move on with production. Works well, and then we have turnarounds and other stuff that 3D artist will require in the future. Another example from Clash Quest, Lava Hound. Nice looking, working from the top-down view. Turnaround for 3D artist. That simple. So it's the best way to start your work, actually. Understand the function of the character, make a sketch from game camera view, all fun goes after. That's it, guys. I hope you can enjoy this painting much more now, to see all the beautiful stuff, rhythms and rhymes are happening there, and appreciate more this ancient artist. That's all. Thank you for listening.